My name is John. I've been digging in this earth for 25 years. It's a small town cemetery, mostly a quiet and peaceful place. I know every inch of this ground, every stone, every oak tree like the back of my hand. This job requires more patience and respect than you might think. It's not just about digging dirt, it's about honoring the past and those who are left behind. Death has always been an end for me. The body returns to the earth. The soul ascends to the heavens. It's a simple truth, not a matter of faith, just a cycle. At least, that's what I used to think, until that night. That night, the earth started whispering to me. It was autumn. The air had turned crisp, and the trees had shed their leaves. A gray, somber sky announced the shortening days. We were digging a grave for a new funeral. Old Mrs. Eleanor, in her late 80s, was a kind, smiling woman everyone in town loved. She was to be buried on the western slope of the cemetery next to her husband. The soil was dry, stony. We had to go a little deeper than usual. We started in the afternoon, got most of it done with the machine, but the details are always done by hand. By late afternoon, I was the only one left to finish the grave. Darkness had fallen, the sun long set as the sky painted itself in shades of purple and orange. I was alone. The sound of my shovel hitting the earth broke the silence. It was physically exhausting work, but my mind was always at peace. I often get lost in thought about the lives that have passed, about those sleeping beneath the soil. But that night, it was different. As I continued to dig, I heard a very faint, almost imperceptible sound, like a whisper. It was different from the sound of the wind passing through the trees. It was something deeper, more human. I stopped and listened. The air was still. There was no wind, just my breathing and the distant hoot of an owl. I started digging again, and then it came again, clearer this time, like a distant sob, then a murmur, as if someone from deep within the earth was calling my name. John dot dot. It was so faint, barely audible, but I had heard it. I froze, shovel in hand. My blood ran cold. This was impossible. The cemetery was fenced, the gates locked. No one else could be here at this hour but me and the grave. It was freshly dug. There was no one inside. It was a deep, dark pit, just bare earth and stones. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice trembling in the darkness. There was no answer, only the eerie silence of the graveyard. I told myself, it's just fatigue, it's exhaustion, your mind's playing tricks on you. But my heart was pounding. Inside me, a primal fear, rejected by logic, was rising. I continued to dig, but slower this time, my ears alert. With each shovel stroke, I examined the soil more carefully. Piles of sand, fragments of stone, all familiar. The dim light from the projectors at the corner of the cemetery cast strange shadows into the grave pit. The air, though still, now felt heavier, charged with an unseen presence. And then it came, clearer, more insistent, a sob, then a murmur, this time less of a John, more of a find me. It was like a call for help, a muffled plea from the depths of the earth. This sound was so real that I could no longer convince myself otherwise. This was not a hallucination. It was a voice, a desperate tiny voice, struggling to break free. I grabbed my flashlight, shining its beam into the depths of the grave pit. I examined the soil, the walls, every detail. Nothing, just excavated earth. But the sound, it was even closer now, as if coming from the very bottom of the pit, directly beneath where I stood. The flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing only churned earth and stubborn rocks. Yet the sound persisted, a haunting melody of sorrow. My radio was useless. Who would believe a gravedigger hearing voices from an empty grave? They'd send me straight to a mental hospital. So I had to continue alone. The weight of that decision settled on me, a chilling realization that I was utterly by myself in this unsettling encounter. I climbed into the grave, my boots slipping on the soft earth. The cold, damp air at the bottom of the pit enveloped me, pressing in from all sides. It smelled of freshly turned soil, rich and earthy, but now mingled with a faint, unsettling sweetness I couldn't place. I scanned around with my flashlight, and right at that moment, where the whispers were clearest, on the side wall of the grave, I noticed something that looked a little different, a patch of soil, darker and looser than the rest, as if it had been dug up and covered before, decades ago. I started digging at that spot with a small pickaxe. The soil loosened easily, falling away with a soft crumbling sound, a couple of shovel strokes, then more loose dirt. My movements were slow, deliberate, each scrape of the pickaxe amplified in the sudden eerie silence, and then my pickaxe hit something hard, a metallic clink, a sharp resonant sound that echoed in the confined space of the pit. My heart stopped. I cleared the dirt with my hand, frantically. It was a metallic surface, like a large, rusty box. With trembling hands, I threw more dirt away, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. What emerged was a small, old metal casket. It was about 3 feet long, a foot and a half wide. It was rusty, encrusted with soil, but undeniably there. And along with the familiar smell of earth and rust, there was that strange, slightly decayed floral scent, like withered old flowers preserved in a time capsule of sorrow. At that moment, the whispers ceased completely. The cemetery fell silent, just as it had been before, but now the silence felt different, profound, expectant. Only my breathing and the cold, somber air of the grave remained. This box, it was undeniably a message, a silent plea answered, unearthed from the very depths of the earth. I had to go back to town, get equipment. I couldn't get this box out by myself. My mind raced, trying to grasp the implications of what I had found. I climbed out of the grave, covered the box with a tarp, and checked again. The gates were still locked. No one had come in. How could it be here, so deep, and right beneath Mrs. Eleanor's freshly dug grave? The questions swirled in my mind, each one a sharp, unsettling echo. Early the next morning, as the first rays of dawn painted the sky in muted hues, I took my assistant, Michael, with me. He was a young, eager kid, full of life and without a single day of the weariness that defined my existence. He accompanied me, puzzled by my urgency. I found something strange in an old part of the cemetery, Michael, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, though I could feel a tremor of excitement and apprehension. We need to dig it out. When we descended into the grave pit, the box was still there, and once again, that faint, decayed floral scent hung heavy in the air. Michael, though curious, seemed to miss the subtle signs that screamed of something unnatural. We slowly, carefully extracted the box from the soil. It was rusty, heavy, its surface cold and unyielding. There were no markings on it, no name, no date, just rust and dirt. It was something the townspeople didn't know about. The cemetery records were silent. It was a complete mystery, a blank page in the long, somber history of this burial ground. Once we brought the box up, We carried it to the cemetery's storage shed. It was an old, dilapidated shed with peeling paint, filled with the ghosts of forgotten tools and crumbling headstones. The sun had risen, bathing the world in a deceptive warmth, but the presence of the box made the air in the shed heavy, charged with an unspoken energy. It wouldn't open with a key. It had no lock either. The rusty metal locking mechanism was completely corroded, a testament to decades spent buried in the damp earth. So I decided to open it with a crowbar, a tool of brute force fitting for such a stubborn secret. The crowbar creaked the lid open with a groan of tortured metal. Rusty hinges cried out in protest, and from inside the box, a strange, damp, sweet smell, unlike earth, unlike decay, wafted out. It was a cloying, almost sickeningly sweet aroma, reminiscent of flowers that had long since withered, their beauty turned to a faint, melancholic memory. What we saw astonished us, robbing us of breath. No corpse, no bones, just something wrapped in an old, worn baby blanket. The edge of the blanket was embroidered with faded blue and pink threads, almost illegible now, a ghost of its former vibrant self. It spoke of a tenderness, a care that transcended time. We carefully unfolded the blanket, each movement slow and deliberate, as if uncovering a fragile artifact from a forgotten era. Inside, there was a small, old wooden box, and inside that box, a bunch of dried flowers and a small, handmade baby doll. The doll's fabric was worn, its colors faded, but it was still discernible. A small rag doll, a silent witness to a life long past. Its eyes were closed, a poignant contrast to the mystery that had led me here. Around its neck, a small, rusty locket held a faded, tiny photograph, a picture of a little girl. That's when everything clicked. The pieces of the puzzle, scattered across decades, finally came together with a chilling clarity. I rushed back to the cemetery office, my heart pounding, and re examined the cemetery records. It took hours of painstaking searching, sifting through crumbling ledgers and faded ink. I found an old entry dating back 50 years. A little girl, Lily. She was 7 years old. She was one of the first victims of an epidemic that swept through the town, a brutal wave of sickness that spared no one. She had been hastily buried without ceremony to prevent the spread of the disease. Her family had left town shortly after, fleeing their grief, their hearts broken, unable to bear the weight of such a loss. Officially, according to the cold, impersonal records, she was alone. But now, this box was an act of profound, enduring love. Little Lily's family, in a desperate, secret act of devotion, must have placed her doll and her favorite flowers in her grave, a silent comfort in the dark earth. But they hadn't told anyone. Perhaps it was too painful to speak of, or perhaps, in those desperate times, it was against the laws of the time, a private act of rebellion against the stark realities of death. I understood. Lily was looking for her family. She wanted to be with them, to be remembered, to feel that love once more. And when I was digging over her grave, it was her whispering to me, "Find me." This wasn't the whisper of a corpse, but the profound, heartbreaking plea of a lost child, the call of a girl's spirit looking for her mother and father, yearning for the comfort of a familiar touch, a loving embrace. She wanted me to find her doll and her flowers. She didn't want to be forgotten, swallowed by the indifferent earth. Together with Michael, my gaze now softened with a shared understanding, we carefully placed the small casket next to Mrs. Eleanor's grave, bringing company to Mrs. Eleanor and her husband, too. Little Lily was no longer alone, her long wait finally over. From that day on, the cemetery changed for me. It was no longer just a burial ground, a silent repository of bodies, but a vibrant tapestry where stories and memories mingled with the soil. Sometimes on quiet nights, when the wind blows and passes through the trees, I still hear whispers, but they're no longer frightening, no longer filled with a chilling dread. They're more like gentle reminders of old stories, comforting voices of lost souls, a soft chorus of remembrance. And I know that the earth doesn't just bury, it also remembers. Sometimes it whispers what it knows, the secrets of those who sleep beneath its surface. And if you listen carefully, if you truly open yourself to the profound silence, you can hear it. And when you hear it, you'll never be the same. Hello, friends. Thank you all for joining me on this chilling journey. Your support means everything to me, and I absolutely love reading your reactions and personal experiences in the comments section. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat or sent shivers down your spine, please make sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing for more haunting tales. Have you ever experienced anything similar to this? Or perhaps you have your own unexplainable story to share? I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Each of your stories adds another fascinating layer to our growing community of horror enthusiasts. And if you think someone else might enjoy a good scare, don't forget to share this video with them. Stay tuned for more spine-chilling stories. And remember, sometimes the scariest tales are the ones that could happen to any of us. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video if you dare.